Iran thought it could have its cake and eat it too. It has relied on the Houthis to wreak havoc in the Red Sea for over a year without getting its own hands dirty. Now, the US has had enough. Iran is about to be hit hard as a massive US B-2 bomber deployment prepares to escalate the conflict in the Middle East. US President Donald Trump told Iran that this was coming. Still, Iran wouldn't stop supporting the Houthis, meaning it now faces one of the most terrifying weapons in the United States Air Force. Trump's warning to Iran came on the back of the first 4 days of US airstrikes conducted against the Houthi militant group in Yemen. That group, which has ties to Iran, believed to extend to training and weapons supply, reignited its attacks against container ships and commercial vessels in the Red Sea on March 12. America's response has been to launch daily airstrikes against Houthi targets in Yemen, which Trump says are already proving effective. Tremendous damage has been inflicted upon the Houthi barbarians, and watch how it will get progressively worse, Trump posted to his social media site on March 19. It's not even a fair fight, and it never will be. They will be completely annihilated. While these comments may seem like bragging on the part of the US president, they actually contain a veiled message to Iran. Trump is telling Iran that one of its most important proxies doesn't stand a chance against the US. And he's not just saying it, the US Navy and Air Force are Yemen have killed at least 53 people, 100 more, with the US claiming that it's managed to take out several members of the Houthi leadership already. And if there was any doubt about Trump's true target with these strikes, he cleared all of that up on March 19. In a separate Truth Social post, the US president said, "Iran must stop the sending of these supplies immediately. Let the Houthis fight it out themselves. Either way, they lose, but this way they lose quickly." And in a March 17 post, Trump then delivered his most direct warning yet. Every shot fired by the Houthis will be looked upon from this point forward as being a shot fired from the weapons and leadership of Iran, and Iran will be held responsible and suffer the consequences, and those consequences will be dire. Did the US just declare war on Iran? Not quite. But Trump has sent a message that the US isn't going to stand by and watch as Iran funds and supports the Houthis in the militant group's Red Sea campaign. And again, these aren't empty words from Trump. He's following through on his promises of more strikes against the Houthis in Yemen. And perhaps more importantly, he's following through on the threats he's making against Iran. How? As we speak, the US is transporting B-2 stealth bombers to a military facility that is within range of Iran. On March 26, the War Zone, or TWZ, posted a report claiming that a significant force of B-2 Spirit stealth bombers looks to be currently making its way to the Indian Ocean island of Diego Garcia. It cites satellite imagery from the previous 48 hours that seems to demonstrate that the US is amassing what could become a powerful fighting force on the UK-owned island. Diego Garcia is an interesting place. The BBC reports that it's a remote island nestled in the Indian Ocean, and to the outside observer, it might look like paradise on Earth. Lush vegetation sprouts from its fertile ground. Stunning and practically untouched white sand beaches taper off into crystal clear ocean waters. And as a holiday destination, it has the potential to become one of the most desirable getaways in the entire world. But the island isn't used for such leisurely purposes. Instead, it's the home of a US Navy support facility that gives the US eyes and ears in the Indian Ocean. The island is leased to the US by the UK, with the most recent lease renewal allowing the US to essentially use this tiny slice of paradise for whatever purposes it deems fit until 2036. Prior to March 2025, the island was home to several branch units of the United States military. These include a specific Diego Garcia detachment of the US Navy, along with the 36th Wing of the 11th Air Force of the US Pacific Air Forces. It even has a Space Operations Contingent, with the 20th Space Control Squadron of Space Operations Command calling the island its home, along with the 21st Space Operations Squadron of Space Delta 6. Add detachments from the US Air Force's 515th Air Mobility Operations Wing to that list, as well as several supporting groups, and you get a remote island that's been transformed into one of the US's key Asian military bases. Those branch groups are still there. They're just being joined now by some of America's most powerful bombers. The US itself provides scant few details about what goes on at the base. According to the military installation's website, entry to Diego Garcia is restricted, requiring area clearance by US Navy support facility Diego Garcia. Only unaccompanied military and Department of Defense civilian personnel or authorized contractors may be assigned to the island. In other words, nobody gets on or off Diego Garcia without express permission from the US military. So much for that vacation. US military personnel typically embark on a one-year tour if they're assigned to the island, with extensions only available to officers and enlisted personnel in special circumstances. Civilians allowed onto the island often stay longer, with military installations noting that some have been on the island facility for over 15 years. But all of this is standard operating procedure for the Diego Garcia military base. What we're seeing now is much different. TWC says that a combination of radio chatter and satellite imagery confirms that the US is sending B-2 bombers to Diego Garcia. The first signs came on March 25, with satellite imagery demonstrating that at least 3 C-17 cargo planes had made their way to the island alongside 10 aerial refueling tankers. Both are important to any future B-2 bombing runs, given that the island is about 1,000 miles away from the next nearest landmass. The refueling tankers will play key roles in keeping America's B-2s airborne for any strike missions conducted against Iran. As for the cargo planes, they're doing exactly what the name suggests, shipping vital cargo to Diego Garcia to ensure the B-2s have everything they need for their bombing runs. Radio chatter has also revealed what the US is planning. TWZ says that 2 B-2 bomber crews operating under the call signs Pitch 11 and Pitch 14 were heard communicating with Australian air traffic control in March. That radio conversation, which is publicly available, also confirmed the presence of a third B-2, though that aircraft's crew wasn't involved in the conversation. The trio of US bombers then stopped off in Australia, where they refueled before continuing their journey to Diego Garcia. This aspect of the TWZ report is interesting. It shows that the US isn't attempting to keep the B-2's movements a secret, reinforcing the idea that it's trying to project force against Iran. More radio chatter comes from other B-2s. A fourth, operating under the call sign Pitch 13, appears to be en route to Diego Garcia before having to make an emergency landing at Hawaii's Hickam Air Force Base. TWC says that we don't know the nature of that emergency yet, though images shared on Twitter show that the bomber was met on the tarmac by a crashed truck. More air traffic radio chatter came from another B-2 with the call sign ABBA. Typically stationed at Missouri's Whiteman Air Force Base, that bomber is also en route to Diego Garcia. Whether it's serving as a replacement for Pitch 13 or was also intended to make this journey isn't known. If it's the latter, that makes 5 B-2s either on Diego Garcia or heading to the island. That's a quarter of the 20 B-2 bombers currently stationed at the Whiteman base, which is also the US Air Force's full stock of B-2s. If there was any doubt about where these B-2s were heading, it was all dispelled by two things: a later TWZ update and comments from the United States. On March 26, TWZ confirmed that satellite images obtained from Planet Labs show that there were at least 3 B-2s on Diego Garcia. Those images also revealed even more equipment being amassed on the island, including another C-17 cargo plane, 7 KC-135 aerial tankers, and what appears to be a P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft. The latter is a plane that the US Navy uses to conduct reconnaissance for anti-submarine warfare and anti-surface warfare. It's likely the P-8A is on Diego Garcia so that it can conduct scouting runs and information gathering to support any future B-2 missions against Iran in the future. Other signs that the US is bringing more B-2s to Diego Garcia include the temporary closing of several of the airfield's taxiways, with a notice stating that those closures are in place until at least April 27. Those closures may be a result of a number of the island's aircraft now being parked on the base's main apron, said TWZ. However, it's the comments from the US that truly confirm what's happening. Some of those comments are obscure. For instance, March 26 saw White House Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino post a short video of a B-2 to his X account, along with the caption,